Hello there and welcome to iAtZine's Let's Review Wrack. Wrack is another game on the Humble Bundle at the moment and is a first-person shooter in the sort of vein of Doom. It's much like they've recreated Doom, changed the setting in order to sort of appeal to a modern audience. They have also changed it to a cel-shaded graphic aesthetic. I mean, that's quite nice, but well, it depends on whether you like the cel-shaded aesthetic, I suppose. Right, let's get started. Unfortunately, it does adhere sometimes too closely to some of the Doom tropes. Narrator, world peace at last. In the year 2037, scientists at Osteron Research Inc. developed technology to allow for the creation of matter out of pure energy. Right, whatever. With this technology, Osteron engineered a device that would forever alter the course of human history. The dark matter reactor, the power to create infinite supply of food, resources, and anything one could dream of, led to the end of war, poverty, and political strife. By 2050, mankind was in the midst of unprecedented peace and prosperity. Life was good, but not for everyone. Stalin. I know that look. What's wrong this time? Nothing, I just have an uneasy feeling. Over what? Are you allergic to happiness? I don't like being so vulnerable. The last of our military has been dismantled, and I don't think it's such a good idea. What if something happens? Well, of course it's going to happen. Oh, relax, Kane. This is a golden age of science and humanity. There isn't really anything to worry about anymore. Except, meteors and shit. Besides, if you're so worried, Fabian should be back any minute with... Did I just hear my name? Were you guys talking about how awesome I am again? How awesomely ridiculous your hair is. There's no need to be jealous. Besides, I just built a sword for you. Is that how you treat everyone who does nice things to you? I'm sorry. That's more like it. Anyway, it's ready. Between Stalin's metal and my spectacular design, this thing is pretty much indestructible. I present you with the Hyperblade. This is amazing. I'm impressed. The cube's even spin. Yeah, I figured you could use them Stalin in life. Hell, you need all the help you can get. Plus, those cubes sync with your inner energy. Pretty amazing even by my standards, right, Stalin? Oh, please. Inner energy? What does that even mean? That's not science. You're just making things up. Look, just because you don't understand it doesn't mean it's not real. Just leave the engineering to a real genius. What was that? The city's being attacked. You two stay here. I'll go out and investigate. Keep this place locked down. Fabian, don't let anything happen to her. Don't worry, I'll have this place locked down in no time. Be careful. If anyone's ready to deal with whatever's out there, it's you. I'm not going to let anything happen. Not again. What? What does he mean? There's supposed to have been prosperity for years or whatever. Right now, as you can tell, the music is very sort of Doom-esque. Unfortunately, it's also the sort of quality of Doom, and they used MIDIs at the time, not because it was a good choice, but because it was what they could manage with the sort of sound generation, and the sound in this is the same quality and rather terrible. What the hell is going on there? Who could be attacking the city? I've got to get some messages, but an end to this now. You know we can hear you through the communicator, right? Do you always talk to yourself like that? I knew I shouldn't have brought it along. You know you'd miss me. Right now, if they could have just gone for a slightly higher quality audio, or, anything better than that, it would have been good. But you start with a sword, and that's pretty impressive right now. As you can see, you've got combos building up. It's very Doom-like in sort of every aspect. If you look, there's a gun just randomly laying on the ground. There's ammo lying around left and right. They have managed to include that headshots do extra damage, which is nice. So it is worth aiming. But barely. Right, armor, again, very much like Doom, just laying around the place all the time. Some extra health, and extra health shards that allow you to go above 100%. You seeing a pattern? Really? This is literally basically a remake of Doom, except with, self-shading. Right, now that should open, but it must be the button I didn't press. Yep, who wants to watch the airlock door opening? Really not me. Right, so new enemies. Let's just... this is so overpowered. It's even more overpowered than the chainsaw in the original Doom. At least the chainsaw... in Doom 2, sorry. The chainsaw took time to kill things because of it charging up. This, you just rush in and splat. Now, it doesn't appear we've got a combo meter. Oh yes, there we go. Combo meter building up. You do have to watch your health, which is rather hard to do. Oh. While you're in such frenetic combat, but it's not actually as frenetic as something like Tower of Guns. I'll probably take that in preference to this. I mean, perhaps that's just my negative cast on everything since going down on my antidepressants, but I've got to think that game, it felt more unique. This game feels almost like they've just gone, Doom was good enough, let's just change all the sprites into sort of 3D models and leave it at that, shall we? Right, we do get a shotgun here, and then there'll be a mini-boss in, I think it's at the beginning of the first level or something. But regardless, the sword is still the strongest weapon we have, try not to get too close. Again, armor shards just laying around like what the dickens. As you can see, our health goes down rather quickly because we're on medium. I mean, this is the super chargy attack thing. Level 1 finisher, but it's not really worrying. Oh no, maybe here's the boss. And the boss's pattern, like most bosses of Doom, well, actually no, Doom bosses were always attackable. This guy does a sort of start sequence where you can't attack him, which is a trope that I haven't liked ever. But then he does telegraph his attacks probably better than most of the Doom bosses ever did. So, you know, give with one hand, take away with the other. And again, a long exit outro sequence. But the quality of the music really ruins it for me. Just, it is as close to Doom MIDI as it's possible to get. And from what I have played, it never gets any better. The quality of the platforming and the shooting is pretty good though, although rooms could do with being slightly better filled out with enemies so that you can actually get one of those combos going. Maybe I need a harder difficulty, but I am on medium, which is sort of what you would expect a person to play through on the first time. Granted, this is the sort of tutorial level and it starts ridiculously easy for a good reason, I suppose. That music is getting so grating though. Oh yes, this sort of like any given one of Doom's power-ups. I mean, you're getting the theme. This is Doom basically, except updated with self-shading. I want a score counter. Wait, no, Doom had a score counter, didn't it? Yep, I believe it did. I think the game's actually clearer with that sharpening mask on, to be fair. Which is not really something you should be able to say about power-ups. Usually the power-ups make things harder to see, but that actually made everything easier to see. It's sort of usually a balance of visual complexity versus... Oh, taking a lot of damage. Oh, and fell in the thing. Right, now, that death sequence takes forever and is actually really annoying. The fact it goes, yeah, it does that every time. And if you're on something like a boss that you need to try several times, it gets very frustrating, especially if the boss... I mean, I've fought the second boss, and the second boss has its own intro every time, a little intro, which you would think, oh, that's not so bad. But while you're learning the boss, you watch it so many times, and then every death it's also yeah, which is just like, okay, so you've done something that is somewhat fitting. The problem is you didn't test it to see how grating it got when you die a lot. That's one of the problems I find with a lot of games, that their playtesters are experts in the game, and so don't sometimes test things that they ought to have. Like what happens if you die repeatedly on the same boss 26 times and get ridiculously frustrated. But this sharpening aesthetic actually makes it easier to see. You know, just turn it on the whole time. Everything gets highlighted with a nice outline of crispness. Maybe there'll be a mod for it. That's one of the few advantages of PC. Now, I am going to have to say that once I've finished doing this review, I am not going to continue playing this game unless I can find some way to either replace the music or get some alternate music, because it is I have played Doom a lot, and this is very, very much like the music of Doom. But I've got to say one thing. I didn't like that music over much, except when I replaced it with a sort of upgraded version. There have been people who have made sort of Doom remixes or Doom upgrades where they've used full orchestral MIDI files. This is not that. Ah, here we go. The second leg of the boss. I know I'm using heavy comparison to something like Doom, but let's face it, this game has modelled itself almost 100% sound files and everything on Doom. You can't really avoid it at all. If you want to avoid comparison, don't stick as close to the source material as you possibly can. I do actually love shooting games. I've just got to say the music is screwing my head with my head. Oh well, we managed to kill him without actually having to worry about the damage. Can we skip the sequence? No. And now we get yet another long stationary exposition. Well, why do you have to go and do that? It's not like he ever did anything to you, other than try and exterminate you, of course. It's so bad writing. He was one of my favourites. Oh yeah, I can see why. The craftsmanship was amazing. I'm sure he must be the best engineer in the galaxy. I like how it exploded after, what was it, 3 shots? What? It was way more than that, but I've got far deadlier creations. I mean, I didn't think I would need to use them so soon. Well, this is a classic enemy trope, gloating for no reason, and I could have shoot him in the head right now. But why, tell me, why are you so eager to rush towards your demise? We thought the Terrans were all the peaceful type. So, in realistic terms, this is Doom. And I mean, I suppose this is very sort of the 80s type of deal, trope, I should say. We're not all the same. Diversity is one of our strengths. Now, it's my turn to ask questions. Who are you, and why have you invaded our planet? Please, do I look like one of those slimy Arcturians? I, Exo, merely supply their robot army. I don't blame them either. After all, robots are superior to organic life. Yeah, looking at the smouldering remains of your geyser bot, who would argue with that? So it's going to be like that, is it? Well, we'll see who has the last laugh. Those Arcturians, what are they after? Your stuffed troll collection, what do you think? The dark matter reactor, of course. They think it's their key to salvation or whatever. I don't involve myself in their affairs, I have my own plans. Jesus, I do not want to read this much text. Hey, Kane, you want to ask him how it is that he's flying? That guy's a badass. Quiet. As delightful as little chat's been, I'm afraid I must go help transport the reactor. That thing is huge. That's what she said. Damn it, man, why would you shut up for a second? Are you talking to yourself? No. Oh, finally. And you didn't pull the trigger because... What are we going to do, Kane? Robots, aliens, cyborgs? We need a plan. If they get hold of the reactor, we're done for. Well, why didn't you ask him, think of all the cool things we could build with that zero-gravity technology? We have more important things to worry about right now. More important than flying? Well, I've got to admit, if we could fly, it would probably make the rest of the game significantly easier. And this is the ripped straight from Doom. In fact, I almost recognise that music. It's like they've changed about 2 notes for the end of level Doom music. But then, yeah, obviously you've got the score section, which is... I mean, this is almost entirely Doom. The only bit that's missing, really, is the map section where they draw a line while the game is loading to the next section. You heard that, right? They're after the dark matter reactor. I really don't like this game. If they get the claws in it, they could use it to build weapons or robots or worse. Oh, come on, those dumb lizards couldn't possibly figure out how to use it. It's too advanced. They can barely take a step forward without drooling on themselves. What? Arcturus is almost 40 light years away. If they've figured out how to reach Earth, they're way more advanced than us. Plus, they have an army, and if they get hold of the reactor, oh man, we're done for. Okay, don't say that. We have to stop them before they take it. They clearly don't think we're much of a threat, so we'll catch them off guard. Ostrom keeps the reactor in the Hyperion labs, right? Stalin, how do I get there? There's a shortcut through the energy district. You'll get there faster, but be careful, it's dangerous. Dangerous for him, maybe. I'll breeze through that place, and I'll do it with some flair, too. Oh, really? I don't see you out there. Look, I told you to stay here. If he wants to have the best player sit on the bench, that's his call. Besides, I wouldn't want to show him up, you know, with me being the best and all. Oh, just stay there. If something happens to me, you two can take over. Sure thing, boss. I'll keep you little lady company. We're not together. What? We're not? Oh, alright, of course we're not. I'm hanging up. Completely unnecessary. Well, 98% unnecessary. They're trying to give you hints of what's going on. It could have happened with in-game text. It could have happened with voiceovers. It could have happened with any kind of motion animation rather than just stationary pictures. I made a disposal area, but why do I hear monsters everywhere? I thought they'd mostly be in the city. Clearly I must have gotten their attention. They're surrounding the Hyperion labs on all sides. Getting through it won't be easy. Not easy for him anyway. Oh, shush. Also, Kane, be careful not to fall into any of the toxic waste. Yeah, otherwise you and Stalin will have fish babies. What? I'm going to go. Now, another thing this game reminds me of is Hard Reset, which was a sort of wave-based wipe out everything that moves game. And I'll tell you something, that game was also better than this one because it actually gave you enough creatures to be interesting and to build up your combo at any one time without doing so much damage that if you try and use some of the weapons, like the melee weapons, you just aren't going to get anywhere with it. And the combo runs down really quickly. Worse than that, not only does it run down really quickly, sometimes it doesn't reset the countdown timer despite you actually killing something, which is, as I believe that is what is supposed to kill the countdown. That is supposed to reset the countdown timer. You kill something and then suddenly, oh, getting low on health. See, why am I even using that when this is a one-hit kill? Is that everything? Yep. See, there's not enough to really get a anywhere near decent combo going on. And that doesn't apparently count to start the combo timer. And now I'm going to have to go back to projectiles. I mean, if you don't recognise this from basically every level of Doom, then you haven't played much Doom. Go play Doom. Doom was good. In fact, go play the GL Doom update. That was really good. And the music in Doom, while it was very, you know, it was like a sort of generic MIDI version of rock and roll of the 80s, which they actually pulled it off quite well. They had the main drive of those type of songs. The problem is this one loops on about, what, 4-second timer? I'd say the song is about a 4-second loop, and that is just irritating. So it's either dun 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 or dun dun dun. Yep, so it's the same loop except at two different notes. Okay, so I'm harping on the sound design, but let's face it, the sound design in a game like this is almost critical. I mean, gameplay-wise, it's just shooting at things. Plot-wise, it's a somewhat mediocre, you know, something bad is happening, so you need to go shoot things. So it's not trying to break the mold on either of those two fronts, in which case it needs to be really good gameplay-wise, which, you know, it's only okay. It is pretty much just Doom, and as I said it so many times, and, you know, I've never been, you know, I'm not wrong about any of those criticisms. It is just basically Doom. Except in 3D, the self-shading. The problem was, Doom actually had long songs that had progression within them, so that you didn't feel that you were hearing the same song over and over and over. Granted, it did have songs like that, for example, at the menus, but you have to consider the sound design, what people are going to be hearing the most of, and how often they're going to be hearing it. It's like how super high def graphics are done these days. Anything near the player, or that the player is going to get near, needs high resolution textures, at least when the player is near them, and they can get lower definition models and textures as you get further away. They're sort of key to the graphic design. The problem is, if you're not very good at understanding it, you will allow the player to get near some very low resolution textures, or in this case, you will allow the player to hear the world's most dull, repetitive music, a 4-bar refrain, repeated ad infinitum. Right, I'm just going to turn the music off, to be fair. It's getting that much on my nerves. Music off, done. I'm sorry if any of you were actually enjoying that, but I'm not even a musician, I'm not a sound designer, but I know when something is irritating. And that is just plain flat out irritating. Right, the enemy design is, well, you've got your imps, you've got your soldiers. What more is there to say? These ones are the imps, those ones are the shotgun soldiers. The flying things are somewhat like beholders, but they're not. You know, they don't have the eyes or actually the AI intelligence, they just fly backwards and forwards. At least the beholders actually move towards you. These things are what? Just more. Oh, they're probably the crawling skull things, to be fair. Actually no, they were harder. I don't think you can make a complete one-to-one translation with Doom, but it's so close. And that's the other thing, if I've got a finisher, shouldn't it finish the creature I shot it at? It hit that creature, yet it still took an extra thing to take it out. See, that didn't build up my combo, but that did. That reset. But machines don't reset for some reason, or it's only if you kill them. Don't understand it, and it's not terribly well explained. They could have spent the time that they wasted writing the plot instead building a tutorial. I know I'm harping on this game fairly harshly, and don't forget I am in the middle of changing my meds, so I'm a depressive without any antidepressants. On the other hand, this is very repetitive. I mean, Serious Sam got away with it because the weapons were hilarious and there was such a huge wave of enemies that you were always entertained, your brain was always engaged, but this hasn't managed that. Recognise that sound from anywhere? Yeah. I think you can see where I'm going with this. Ah, two more of the crawling guys. Right, now we can actually switch. So it's easier just to use the shotgun to build a combo, and then the sword to do the sort of badass sword combo finisher. It's not actually that badass, to be fair. If this had the Serious Sam quantity of enemies, I could understand this combo meter. If maybe the game gets to that later, fair enough. If the areas had a sort of progression of aesthetic, I'd also think that that might be worth continuing to play. But I think I got to level 3 or 4 before I stopped and just decided to review because I was so... Well, now this guy, how you defeat him is in nowhere obvious. When he slams, you have to jump. It doesn't matter the range, if you don't jump, you will take damage. The only way to learn that is to actually spend a while fighting him, and, well, at least for me, it meant dying at least once in order to learn that. It doesn't seem like the best method of teaching something. There wasn't really any sort of telegraphs of why he should be hurting you. There's no sort of damage wave coming out across the ground for you to jump over, as is sort of self-explanatory in many games. I mean, I know that's a trope and that's a cliche, but it's a cliche because it works. There are some things that are cliches because they work, and that is one of them. Right, now we've unlocked this doorway. Still only got 3 guns. I do believe this game has some level of auto-aim, because I'm not aiming that straight at all. So money, money, and money. So let's just score. I have no idea what the point of the money score is, but it is a good idea to clear those out before you fight this guy. Now I hope you've learned your bot lesson quickly, you're about to fight two at once. Luckily, they don't do the slam attack, at least until you've shot them once. So try not to hit. Yeah, I know, danger. It's a checkpoint once you kill this guy though. And luckily headshots count against robots. So as you can see, I'm a bit down on this game. I love the aesthetic. I love the combo design. I don't like the music design at all. Some of the sound design is terrible. The level layouts are okay, but they need more variety. So as you can see, it's a mixed bag. Luckily this came with a Humble Bundle, so I didn't pay an awful lot for it, and I would say if you're going to get that Humble Bundle, it's probably worth it, because Fast Guy is beautifully atmospheric. And Race the Sun is similarly, it's gorgeous. Those videos I've already recorded, so you can go have a look on my channel if you want to see what those are about. But this game, it's fun for 5 minutes, but then you'll realise that you've already played all of this when you played Doom 2, Doom 3, Doom Resurrection. You know, it's the same game as those, literally not quite as good. I hate having to harp on a game for having a bad element like sound design, but it's so critical. People don't realise how important it is until someone does it badly. Right, this bit is tricky because you need to do a run and jump in order to get to it. Just gonna shoot that guy. Save some trouble. Shotgun shells. Oh. That should be extra health, but to be fair, who cares? I'll take the pistol ammo and get out of here. See, some of the sound design, the sound effects are really good. It's the music that is grating. Put something better on in the background would be my suggestion. You know what type of music you like. Maybe get Ashley Carr's Doom remixes, actually. Those songs are fantastic. Shove those on in the background. It'll actually be sort of a proper, realistic, somewhat orchestral, very heavy rocky Doom remix. As you can see, it's very much shooting the same enemies, but it's not nuanced enough. I know Serious Sam isn't a great comparison because that was basically a wave-based shooter. But this game, if it's going to have a combo meter as it does, it needs to have waves, it needs to have enough creatures to build up a combo worth using. I mean, what's the difference between that super shot and any other shot other than your score? And to be fair, who really cares about scores? It's sort of an inevitable outcome of playing the game anyway. I think the game's too long to want to be willing to play it as a points game where you're just trying to get a high score. Pac-Man, for example, is a good points game because you can just play the one level over and over and see who can get the high score on it. Easy to learn, easy to pick up. This game, there's so much to it. I mean, which bit would you compare? Would you do a full speed run? I mean, is that even worth doing because of how bored you'd be by the end of it? Would you be bored by the end of it? Maybe you just enjoy shooting things endlessly in the face. Personally, I like to have some change, some nuance that isn't just a single boss every once in a blue moon. Yeah, I missed so badly there. This has to have some form of auto aim. Did he just move into my line of fire to make it easier for me to hit him? Well, that was pretty. I think this gun is actually better than the shotgun. What is that? You found a secret. Oh, it's just score multiplier. Anything over here? Nope. Having F as the activate key is also quite annoying because E doesn't do anything. E would be much better as a default activate key. Be more of the era too. Well, spacebar would actually be the but at the moment spacebar's jump. Which I suppose is also a bit sort of late of the era. I just finish up this level to show you how sort of samey it gets. That's the thing, Tower of Guns changes up so quickly that you never really get bored. Serious Sam changes up the enemies and which guns you're using and the environment. I mean, it's not a great example because it is quite samey, but at least it tries. They try to disguise the sameness. Pulse gun. Well, now this gun is brilliantly useful versus robots because it doesn't aggro their stamp attack. Whether that is intentional, see, the protagonist really needs some kind of shield if you're going to allow melee to happen. Otherwise you just die like that. You're too close in. I mean, the melee is probably the most fun aspect of the game, but you can't do it because it's going to kill you. Unless you want to try circle strafing with a melee weapon, in which case really good luck. You're going to need it. Also, I'm noticing some of my attacks don't seem to be registering. Let's get the pulse gun out. Now, as you can see, this shouldn't... Oh, it is. Right, fine, I was just lucky last time. It didn't register as a reason to attack me. Oh, let's give it one more decent try, and this time I'm not going to use melee. Despite the fact it's the most fun part of the game, it's the bit you can't use because it will get you killed. Is that a score multiplier? Yes, it is. It's the only reason to get the score multiplier, considering there is no benefit of getting a high score. No, not really. I should say your mileage may vary. Maybe you enjoy getting high scores. It's actually easier to use the pistol than the... I now got to fight 3 of these things. For some reason the pulses... Maybe the reason I didn't get slammed last time was because I was too far away and killed them too quickly. That could explain a lot. The pulses react to gravity, which I suppose makes some sense if we did invent a pulse pistol. It's not like balls of plasma wouldn't have some effect due to gravity. And we always assume they wouldn't, but... And that's the end of the level. I hope you enjoyed that. I certainly really didn't. As you can see, I had to turn the sound off. If you did, you can click the like button or dislike. Remember, you're rating my video, not really the game, whether you liked it or not. Let me know in the comments what you think of the game. Am I being overly harsh? Am I just feeling too depressed today to play this? Or are you really enjoying it? What do you think? You can also tweet at me. Tweeting at me is probably the easiest way to get in contact. Don't forget to subscribe if you want to see more videos in the future, hopefully of some more fun games. We'll have some coming very soon. And I hope to see you next time. Thanks very much for watching.